All right, well, my name is True Pettigrew, and I am your MC for the evening, and I am very excited to be spending the next couple of days with you all. And why don't you start off by each of you giving yourselves a round of applause for making this trip to be here, to commit to your futures. This is a big investment. You all are investing in yourselves, or others are investing in you, and so that's very impressive. So thank you all for being here. So I have the honor and the privilege of introducing two extremely successful people to you today that are going to share some very valuable information with you. Now, I know earlier, for those of you that were in here, I encouraged you to be active on social media, and I still want you to do that. If you hear something, a really valuable nugget, something insightful, go ahead and post it, tweet it, share it, but just be respectful of our speakers as you are using your devices so that your devices aren't going off and being disruptive while speakers are sharing with you. But feel free, take a picture. They're both very good-looking people, so take their pictures, right, and then share their photos with your quotes that you may want to post from them. All right? So I'm going to introduce two people to you today. Geoff Haynes, who's the president of SolarDrive, and Virginia Edwards, who is a professional development coach. But they're going to come up one at a time, and then we'll try and make a little bit of time on the back end for some Q&A. But the first one that I'm going to introduce is Mr. Geoff Haynes, and he is a serial entrepreneur and the current president of Raw Power Pro. That's an award-winning U.S. portable solar company. And Geoff has built and exited 3 successful startups. At each venture, Geoff leveraged nascent technology to shatter adoption curves, challenge conventional thinking, and effectively communicate to broad audiences. Prior to Geoff's entrepreneurial career, he oversaw the launch of the successful marketing campaign, The Ultimate Driving Machine by what brand? Come on, people. The Ultimate Driving Machine, what's the brand? BMW, that's right. There's some brand awareness for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, please do me a favor and allow your palms to collide for my friend, Mr. Geoff Haynes. Let's hear it.
Check, check. Thanks. Appreciate it. When I found out that I was going to be speaking today, I contacted an associate of mine, Dr. Roland Kidwell, who is the chairman of the Adams School of Entrepreneurship at FAU. And I told him that I was going to be here, and I asked him, because your reputation precedes you. You guys are the brightest and the best in the country. And I really wanted to bring value to you guys today. So he said, oh, you're speaking at CEO? He said, that's a great organization. I said, yeah. And he said, where is the conference this year? And I said, it's in Tampa. And he said, when is it? And I said, the end of October. And he said, when? And I said, October 31st. And he said, October 31st. So I said, yeah, well, what do you got for me? Give me something. And the phone went quiet. And he said, Geoff, don't wear a costume. I am a serial entrepreneur. My name is Geoff Haynes. I have 3 successful exits. I'm currently the president of a company I started in 2012 called Raw Power Pro. And in the time it's taken me to introduce myself to you, there you go. There's been 40 new startups created in the time I've been standing here. 137,000 new startups a day globally, and 50 million a year globally. Whoops. And they're not all going to succeed. In fact, a quarter of them aren't even going to make it to their first anniversary. Those are rough odds. In her book, Future, Catherine Booker said that you guys coming out of school are walking into a business environment that's really similar to the Cambrian period, 500 million years ago, where single-celled organisms evolved into multi-cell organisms. It was the most prolific time on the planet for growth of new species. But it was also the highest rate of extinction on the planet. I'm really excited for you guys, for us, right? Because I'm a serial entrepreneur too. There's never been more opportunity for you guys. And I'm envious of the abilities you have, the information available to you, and the courage you guys have to go out there and change the world. So I really want to applaud you guys. I was really excited to come talk to you today. For the brightest and the best, for the people that are brave enough to do what you're doing, for the people that have the determination to do what you're doing, we hear all the time failure is not an option, right? I want to add something to that. It's true, failure is not an option. It's a prerequisite. Yeah, it's true. I've failed more times than I've succeeded. And in fact, some of the greatest entrepreneurs in the country, in the world, have failed more times than they've succeeded. Jeff Bezos, I'll get back to in a second. But Steve Jobs was kicked out of Apple, a company he started in his garage. And Oprah Winfrey, who revolutionized television, was told by her first station director that she just wasn't cut out for TV. I know, it's amazing. It's amazing. Anybody remember Funbug? Yeah, me neither. It failed. It's GoPro today. How about SocialNet? Yeah, you remember SocialNet? Yeah. So you know that today it's LinkedIn. And Odeo is how Twitter started its life. But I don't care about the ordinary failures, right? You guys are not ordinary. Let's talk about epic failures, okay? The Fire Phone. Anybody remember the Fire Phone? Jeff Bezos lost $170 million launching the Fire Phone. Wall Street called Amazon in the 90s Amazon.con. Wall Street Journal wrote articles about Amazon.bomb. And Bezos said in a recent interview his favorite diss of all time was Amazon.toast. We're talking about Jeff Bezos, right? One of the wealthiest guys in the world. I think until like 2 or 3 weeks ago, he was the wealthiest guy in the United States. His company is prolific and one of the most successful companies in the world. His response to the press when they were lambasting him for the Fire Phone was, "You think that's a failure? We're working on much bigger failures." And he wasn't kidding. Amazon Pay, Amazon Local Register, Amazon Auctions, Askville.com, My Habit, and my favorite, Pets.com, because I have 2 dogs. Jeff Bezos, when he had to answer to his investors, said to them that I believe that failure and invention are inseparable twins. One of the most successful guys on the planet is telling us that you can't have innovation and invention without failure. I'm looking at some of your faces. You're like, who is this guy? Who invited him here to come speak about failure? I mean, I have a pitch contest tomorrow. I need to stay positive. You know who remembers your failures? Nobody. I'm telling you, I failed a ton. Nobody remembers your failures. Well, you'll remember them. And if you have investors, they'll definitely remember them. And your mom will definitely remember your failures if she's anything like my mom. Even now when I go to visit my folks, and we wind up talking about what's going on in my life, and what kind of businesses are you doing now? What are your projects? My mom always says, "Oh, do you remember that time I gave you money to start your snowplow startup? And all you did was complain about your feet being cold, so you quit?" Yeah, Mom, I was 9. At 24, I took my first company public. At 30, I sold a startup in West Palm Beach, and my take was $1.5 million. In 40, I was part of a team that launched the Amber Watch Foundation. We did child abduction prevention programming. And we attracted Ray Romano, Samuel L. Jackson, Terry Hatcher. We put 3 million kids through our program, and we wound up selling the brand to a subsidiary of Time Warner. So what do I know about failure? Between 26 and 29, the total amount of revenue my company's generated was $25,000. Between 35 and 39, I was fired from a job, and I was laid off from a job. I had 3 startup failures in this period, and this year in April, I failed to get a patent on a heads-up display for motorcycles that we had been trying to develop for 3 years, and I had about 60 grand of my own money in it. I know what it's like to fail. The problem is most people, and I think you probably learn in school, that success looks like this thing on the left, right? You work hard, you guys are super smart, you're driven, that's success. And I'm telling you, it's not success. These guys are crazy lucky, right? And luck has something to do with it. It really does. Timing, luck. But get used to this, because this is what success really is, honestly. And the reason is because we're hardwired to fail. What? We're hardwired to fail. It's true. Why is it that you're more afraid of sharks than ants? Sharks only kill about 5 people a year. Ants kill 5 times, 6 times as many people. So what is it about sharks and failure that gets us so wrapped up? It's called the availability heuristic. And briefly, right, it's a pretty complicated thing, but very briefly, negative consequences often are emotionally charged, right? Car accidents, shark attacks. Shark attacks, the failure of your first startup, the failure of your third startup. It's a lot easier for you to recall negative memories. I mean, I think if you think about it, you'll kind of agree with me. If I asked you to tell me about your 5th grade soccer championship that you won, or your dance recital that you won in 3rd grade, I think you'd have to work a little bit at trying to get that memory back, or at least the details of it. But if I ask you about a car accident you were in, like that, the details are right there. It's because those types of emotionally charged memories trigger the amygdala, which is your lizard brain. I'm sure you guys have heard all about the lizard brain. It seems to be so popular on social media these days, the lizard brain. So your recall for those events is really, really instantaneous because it's stored in implicit memory, in your conscious memory. It was really beneficial for us when you and a friend were walking on the Serengeti and a saber-toothed tiger jumped out and mauled your friend, right? Immediately, it was stored in your implicit memory, and every time that you saw a saber-toothed tiger, that memory came back, and boom, you were gone, right? So you worked at running faster to avoid saber-toothed tigers. The problem is today we don't live in a world with saber-toothed tigers, but the lizard brain still exists. So what do as entrepreneurs? The lizard brain hangs on to our failures. And the truth is now that we don't have saber-toothed tigers, but we still have this thing in our head, we can rationalize it and say, well, I don't really need to run faster than the saber-toothed tiger. I just need to run faster than the guy that I'm with walking in the Serengeti. That's how an entrepreneur thinks. So we're going to fail, guys. You're all going to fail. Maybe you've already failed. James Clear came up with this amazing idea on how to frame failure. And basically in business, as entrepreneurs, your failure is going to come from one of 3 places. It's going to come from either your vision, the strategy, or your tactics. And the company I run right now is a really good company. We're doing some really good things, but we're not immune to failure either. This is Raw Power Pro. This is a solar panel that's 3 millimeters thick. It weighs 6 pounds. We developed it in North Carolina in 2012. It's given us the ability to use solar in areas where you couldn't use traditional glass solar, heavy 20-pound solar. And our strategy was we were going to get onto golf courses because that's where most of the golf cars are these days. And we did really well out of the gate. And after the first year, we doubled our sales. The second year, we doubled our sales again. And then I got greedy. And I said, growth of sales is awesome, but I want more. I want a bigger company. So I went directly to the manufacturers. And we wound up closing the largest manufacturer in the world for electric vehicles. And we also got Polaris. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the company Polaris. They do a lot of outdoor, really cool vehicles. Combined, they have an $8 billion cap. These guys are huge. The year after we closed these accounts, our sales plummeted 60%. We couldn't figure it out. Besides the fact that I gave away my right to sell to their dealers, these huge companies that were going to make me a multi-millionaire did nothing. They didn't share my vision of reducing carbon footprint. They didn't care about being good environmental stewards. We did. But now I'm stuck. I got a 3-year contract. I have dealers that love my product that I can't even sell to anymore. Instead of pointing fingers at the manufacturers, which I think is the first response for everybody, why'd they do this, right? Why can't they appreciate the fact that we're trying to do something good for the planet? Instead of doing that, we went back to James Clear's triangle, right? Our vision was really sound, and today I'm still really proud of our vision. Our tactics were to give these dealers a lot more money than they would get selling batteries or tires, so that they would be interested in making a lot of money with us. Our strategy is where we failed. So we went back and revisited James Clear's concepts. And we realized our mistake was in the strategy. Great product, by the way, zero defects on our product in 4 years, not a single return. I'm so proud of the fact that we made a killer product and achieved something that was really important to us as a team, as a company. Well, what are we going to do, right? My investors were screaming at me, how do I lose 60% of my sales when we were crushing it? What we decided to do was revisit our strategy, and in the course of all of this, we went out and talked to our customers, we talked to the manufacturer, we talked to anybody that would listen, and we realized if we changed our strategy, maybe we stood a chance of keeping this company going. And universities have a ton of electric vehicles on campuses. I'm sure every one of your campuses has either golf cars or electric vehicles that they're shuttling people around all day. And a light bulb went off, so we went heavy after universities and zoos. There's a zoo in every major city in the United States, just about. So instead of pointing our finger at the manufacturer saying, you ruined my company, we shifted our strategy, and today we have the largest market share in the United States and the Caribbean. Because of James Clear's idea that you can't point fingers, you have to look inside and try to figure out where your mistake was, right? And as entrepreneurs, we got to get used to this, right? Because ultimately, you're the one that's laying in bed sleepless at night because you lost 60% of your sales. I guarantee you the president of that manufacturer could care less. So I'm kind of putting the onus on you guys to take ownership of some of your failures. There are no secrets to success, guys. There's no one path that we can follow. I wish I could come up here and tell every one of you, you have to do this, and you're going to be like the next Gary Vee or something. But that's not the way it works. What I've learned in doing this a long time, I started in my 20s, is that success is a result of preparation, hard work, and learning from your failures. And if you don't accept responsibility for your failure, you're never going to learn from your failures. Okay, so what? Thanks, Geoff. That's really cool. What now? What if I fail? It's not when, it's not if, it's when. And this is what I want to give you guys today, okay? Fail fast. When Jeff Bezos failed at Amazon Z Shops, it took them 3 months to do all the programming. It took them 3 months to get into the market, and within 7 months, they had shut the company down. It was a failure. Bezos shut it down very quickly. Then they did Amazon auctions, and Amazon auctions failed. But today, Amazon Marketplace is the result of them failing really quickly and moving through that process. He also failed forward, and I'm sure you guys have heard this before. I mean, there's got to be 500 million YouTube videos about failing forward. But what they did is they took all that work they did in the first two companies and applied it to Amazon Marketplace, and Amazon Marketplace today is just an amazing company. Get out and talk to people. Don't hide. Don't go lick your wounds in a corner. Go out and ask people why you failed, why they think you failed. If we hadn't done that, I probably wouldn't have kept the solar company. I probably would have lost it because my investors were furious with us. But when we went out and asked people, they were honest with us. It's a great product, but, right? Persistence matters more than talent. And that's a tough thing to say to you guys because you're all really bright. And I know you're really hardworking. I mean, I'm really looking at the best of the best here. Persistence trumps talent. Tim Ferriss, who wrote The 4-Hour Workweek, was rejected by 25 publishers before his book was published. But Tim Ferriss's failure was also 25 publishers' failures because The 4-Hour Workweek went on to sell 1.3 million copies, was translated into 36 languages, and spent a mind-boggling 4 years on top of the New York Times bestseller list. Don't quit. Persistence beats talent. If you have them both, that's even better. Be a leader, not a boss. My first job out of school, at a graduate school, I worked for BMW of North America, and I worked on the Ultimate Driving Machine campaign. I managed a $24 million media buy for television buys. Great company, great product. I hated my boss. I hated going to work every day. And I estimated 46,000 hours in a classroom from kindergarten to graduate school. And I wound up getting a job that it was suffocating me. Be a leader, lead people, get people to buy into your vision, right? Don't be a boss. Anybody can be a boss. There's nothing special about being a boss. And this is the most important, guys. This is a message I really want you to carry with you. Don't compare yourself to other people. It's almost impossible, right? With social media, trust me on this, social media is a highlight reel. Nobody's posting the fact that they failed their chem class. Nobody's posting that they didn't get into the university they wanted to get into. And nobody is posting that they've been turned down by 50 different investment bankers. It's really hard to do to not compare yourself to other people. But if you take anything out of our time chatting today, don't do it. It doesn't serve your purpose. And people's lives are complicated in ways that you can't even imagine. But that's the big one for me. And I had to learn it too. Even as adults, it's still really difficult not to compare yourselves. When I decided to be an entrepreneur, I saw all my friends getting good jobs, and they were buying cars, and they were buying their house before me, and they were doing all of these things that I aspired to do. But I realized it doesn't matter. I'd still rather be me than them any day of the week. I was able to craft a life that I really, really love. But if I had compared myself to them, I probably would have stopped because what we do is really hard. Being an entrepreneur is not easy. It's like entrepreneurs are guys that want to work 80 hours a week so they don't have to work 40 hours a week, really. I mean, that's really what an entrepreneur is. So guys, don't compare yourselves to anybody. And don't give up. And I promise you, at the end of the process, when you have an opportunity to look back, you'll do it without any regrets. And there's value there that I can't even convey to you at this point. But it's absolutely worth the journey. And I'm so excited for you guys. I really am. And maybe one day I'll be working for you guys. No regrets. Thanks. That's it. That's all I got.
Thank you for that, Geoff. I think you dropped a lot of jewels today. So thank you, my friend. And I just want to do a quick recap for you all to just share a couple of nuggets that I heard from Geoff's talk before I bring my good friend Virginia up. So 2 specific things that I want to reemphasize to you all that Geoff just shared with you. Extremely valuable. Remove the loss column from your life. Right? He just taught us that. No losses. A no losses mentality. Wins and lessons. That's it. Wins and lessons. What will be perceived to be a failure will only be a failure if you do not learn from it and allow that to fuel you to move forward. So that W and that L, allow that to be your wins and your lessons. No losses. It's how you approach it, right? Because those trip-ups are going to happen. Those failures are going to happen, but they will remain permanent as if you do not learn from them and allow yourself to push forward, all right? So wins and lessons. And the second thing that I heard from him was you all are extremely talented. You have gifts, you have talents, but your greatness and your success will have less to do with your ability to do what others can't do and much more to do with your willingness to do what others won't do. Remember that. Thanks a lot, Geoff. So now, this next person that I have the pleasure of bringing before you, we met years ago. I think we've known each other for like 4 or 5 years. 4 years. We met 4 years ago, and I have grown to be a huge fan of this young lady. And after she speaks, you'll understand why, and I'm sure you will too. So next I'm bringing to the stage Miss Virginia Edwards. And Virginia is a national etiquette coach, a consultant, and public speaker working with private clients, universities, government agencies, and businesses. Ms. Edwards' broad experience in varied industries provides the real-world knowledge of the interpersonal skills critical to success in the local and international markets. And prior to starting her own consulting business, Ms. Edwards served as a special staff assistant to the Undersecretary for Health at the Department of Veterans Affairs. Additionally, she held positions in sales, manufacturing, hospitality, private equity, and nonprofit organizations. She has published articles in numerous business journals and has appeared as an etiquette expert on various news programs. Using customized programs, Ms. Edwards' goal is to entertain while educating, a bit of edutainment, if you will. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for my friend, Ms. Virginia Edwards.
Well, I'm going to have to get that thing shortened. I know I'm short. Can everybody sort of kind of see me? I'm down here. Okay, there we go. Yes, failure. You're all going to do it. Everybody does it. At some point in our lives, we're going to do that. But you're going to have confidence that you can get over that failure. You've got to have confidence to be able to get you to the next step, to the next day, to the next jump, whatever it might be. I had one of the greatest mentors that I think anybody could ever have, and he told me, he worked for Ford. He was a vice president with Ford Motor Company, and they go through psychological evaluations. Don't know why, but I think it's probably a good idea. A lot of companies did that. So anyway, he said that his were always very short, and the psychologist had one line for him. There's a fine line between confidence and cocky. And that has stayed with me for 30 years when he told me that. When he first said it, I'm sort of looking at him going, what? But over the years, it's made a lot of sense. Because first of all, you're scared. You know, can I go do this? Let me see if I can do this. Then you build the confidence within yourself. And then you get so thrilled with all of your successes. In fact, it's part of our brain work. When we get little rewards, little successes, that triggers in our brain that we want more, and we can ride on that for months with the successes that we've had. So our confidence continues to build and build. But then we get to that line where all we do is talk about ourselves, talk about our product. We don't let anyone else even take a breath to be able to say something in between. Or we look at things, I can't deal with that. We throw shade on this, look at everything that there is. You don't want to be that way. So, confidence. How do you get that? You've got it because you made it to this room, okay? So everybody has a level of confidence. One of the things that I like to talk about, because I'm an etiquette consultant, is that things that give you confidence are all within you. They're the tools that you have inside of you that you can draw on. Some of the very big things. Something very simple. Jonathan, would you mind helping me? How you meet people. Now, we don't have a lot of space up here, but at least you can see what we're doing. Come on up here, Jonathan. When you meet someone, you want to look them in the eye. Every time you're with someone, look them in the eye. Make them know they're the most important person. It may be only 5 seconds that you get to meet somebody, but they're the most important person. When you're putting that hand out to handshake, nice firm handshake. And look, Jonathan immediately smiled. Marvelous. Marvelous. I couldn't have picked a better person. But see, you want to stick that hand out there, get that in. You don't want to do, one of these little fingertippy things, and you don't want to do one of these shakes, and you don't want to wrestle him to the ground, or one of these, okay? You want to be businesslike. You want to be comfortable in your own skin. And Jonathan did it right away. Hand out, eye contact, you want to smile. Your smile is your biggest asset, your eyes and your smile. So you want to do that. Jonathan, thank you very much.
Not a problem.
Thank
you.
you. So, let's see if I can keep from falling off stage here. That is what you want to do. Practice your handshakes. If you feel that you're, maybe haven't got it quite going there, get someone that you're very comfortable with. Ask them to evaluate your handshake. Ask them to evaluate what's about my eye contact. You want to make sure that you have a smile about you. How many times you walk in a room, you see somebody standing there, kind of looking like this down. You're going to run and go talk to that person, aren't you? You're going to go to the person that looks the most animated, to the one that looks like they're having the most fun. You want to go and meet that person. So you want to exude that from yourself. You also want to make sure that you know how to introduce yourself. If you've got control of the introduction, one of the best things is that you are a detective. You can find out information about other people just from how you introduce yourself. Some people are so afraid of, oh my gosh, I got to go meet somebody, that they don't even think about what they're going to say, or they think too much about what they're going to say. They've got elevator pitch. You may have asked them, what color is the sky, and they start telling you about their product. So, yeah, you've been there, haven't you? You want to practice. You want to give maybe 3 different ways to introduce yourself, and especially to a group this large, is because you're going to start running into people, and they're going to hear you saying something, and they're going, well, that's not what they told me. She said this, and she's telling him something else. So you want 3 different ways. And the way that you introduce yourself, you give them your name. Always give your first name and your last name. Okay, there's 12,000 Jonathans out here. There's only one today that helped me, but there's 12,000 of them. There's several Virginias, there's Susans, there's Toms. You want to make sure that they understand, here's my first name, here's my last name. You want to be able to find out information. So if you want to find out where they're from, then you say where you're from. I'm from Sarasota, Florida. I was born and raised in D.C., but I live in Sarasota, Florida now. So that gives the person I'm introducing myself to that option of, oh, they can tell me a little bit more about themselves. what their product is, what they're doing here, how did they get invited. Those are some thoughts on how you can introduce yourself and find out about the person you're introducing yourself to. You want to be prepared. That's a big thing. You know, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, everybody's prepared. That is the basis of learning, is you need to be prepared. I mentioned about, you know, people who just keep talking and talking and talking and they haven't heard what you said to them. So make sure that you listen. Listening is a very underrated skill that people have learned. You guys, I've seen so many that have come before you that you are just full of energy. You cannot wait to give your pitch, that it is almost going to make you jump out of your skin. You want to do it so badly that you want to be such a success with your pitch. But take a minute, breathe, and when you're not giving your pitch, listen to the people around you. Listen to what they're actually saying. And then you can give an answer that makes sense. So keep on that. Another thing, we have a lot of speakers here today. We've got a lot of breakout sessions. They're in little small groups. And then we get to go into the ballrooms and have lunch, have breakfast, and we'll have keynote speakers. Please be respectful enough of them to not be talking while you're eating. First of all, you know, you don't talk with your mouth full. Please, yes, let's not do that. But while the speakers are speaking, please don't go talking amongst yourself at the table. Make sure that you're giving the respect to the speakers that there are. And after all, isn't that what we're all looking for? We're looking to be heard, and we're looking to be respected. You can't give respect. You can't get respect unless you give respect. That's one of the things of why when you're sitting down and someone comes up to you and they go to introduce, instead of doing this, you stand up because you've got enough respect in yourself to stand up. So you want to do that. So you're respecting yourself, and then that other person, you can respect them and they will respect you. So you want to give that respect so that you get it back as well, showing respect. Some of the other things too, the way you dress can give you confidence. You know that you've got that one favorite outfit that just, you know, that really strikes a chord with you. You can go move mountains with that. I'm dressed today conservatively. If I had on flowers and purple and orange and, you know, even though that might be somebody's school colors, that I would be more in the artist's field than I would, or the very imaginative, creative industries, as opposed to consulting on your personal and professional image. So you want to dress so that you're projecting the image that you are trying to get across to everybody. And I'm not saying that you have to go out and, you know, gentlemen, go buy a $500, you know, suit, $1,000, $5,000 suit. If you got that much money, then you're doing good in this room. You know, ladies, you got, you know, those little red bottom pumps on and things like that, then you're wasting your money someplace. But anyway, you don't need to spend all that money on your appearance, but you want to be clean, neat. You want clothes that fit. Oh, for heaven's sake, take them to the dry cleaner. Spend a little extra money. Just don't go throwing everything in the washer, because it is not going to come out right. You want to make sure that you've got some dry cleaning money when you buy your clothes. Take care and pride in yourself. Make sure your shoes are shined, that they're not full of nicks and scrapes and scratches. People pay attention to these things. Yes, not everybody does, but they're not zooming in of, you know, somebody just walked in the room, oh, let me see your shoes. No, I'm not talking about that, but you have an overall image that you present, and you want to make sure that it's the image that you've got. Now, if your business is that you need purple, orange, and flowers because that is what you're selling, go for the best purple, orange, and flowers that you can. I'm not saying wear a black suit all the time because you're going to look like you're ready for the funeral home. And I'm sure that's not what y'all are interested in doing right now, even though there'll always be a need. Business cards. Everybody in here has business cards, right? Yes, yes. Okay, well, at least Jonathan has them. Make sure that you have a nice case for your business cards. That's a little mini me. I just told you of what your person and what you're wearing looks like. Well, when you give someone your business card, you're giving them a piece of yourself. And you want that business card to make sure that it is tucked away so that it doesn't have torn and ragged edges. Please, if your phone number changes, don't just scratch it out. I don't get money from Vistaprint, but just go to Vistaprint, spend $10, and in 5 days you got another new set of cards, okay? Just keep the cards new. You want for it to be a little walking billboard of yourself, and you want it to be something respectful. Now, if you're doing an ink eraser company, then that might be a good thing to put for here, but most of you probably aren't. Having a case slips right into your pocket. Ladies, and I call you ladies and gentlemen. I know we're men and women or we're just persons, but ladies, gentlemen, not a whole lot of men walk around carrying a wonderful designer purse. Yes, I have my Chanel with a chain and all that good stuff too. But I also wear business clothes that have pockets so that I don't have a purse that is looking at me and going, oh, yep, that verifies she's a woman, she's got a purse, she's got to have that and all. Right now I have 8 pockets. I don't have them all filled, thank goodness, but I have 8 pockets. And you keep what is necessary. You've got your business card holders, you've got your ID, you've got a credit card, you've got a couple of dollars. Even if you're going out to lunch with someone that they have invited you to lunch or dinner, have a credit card with money on it. And a few dollars in your pocket because you may have to pay for the valet. If any of you have ever been valets, waitresses, waiters, you know tips are things that we all would love to get. So make sure that you've got a little bit of cash on you. Just in case the wires get crossed and you end up having to pay for your own meal, you need to make sure that you pay for your valet, get your car in and out. You want to make sure you've got those things. Now mine, always, I carry lipstick with me too. Now I'm not sure. Now I do know a lot of men that carry chapstick, so they understand this. But you need to make sure that whatever you're carrying, you are in need of those things. Body language. That's another thing that can help you with your confidence. You want to make sure that you are not, like I said, the little person in the room standing there like this, and so that nobody wants to walk up and see you. You want to make sure that you're giving an open showing to everyone. You don't want to be standing there defensive. You don't want to be closed off. You don't want to be fidgeting with your hair and, or God forbid, thinking you're so beautiful you've got to do your hair, men and women. But you want to make sure that you're giving the right image. That gives you the confidence that you don't have to worry about anything else. You've practiced all of these things. You know that you're dressed right. You know that you're going to be a wow at introducing yourself, at meeting people. You want to also be up to date so that you can talk to people. I did say that you have to learn to listen. You also want to learn to talk to people, so you need to be up on sports. World Series last night, Washington Nationals, woohoo! Football, whatever's going on, hockey's getting ready. We need to, sports. What's going on? What's the latest book? What is the latest business? You want to be able to be prepared to talk on a few of the major subjects. You don't want to be the deer in the headlights when somebody starts talking about, Irma, and you're going, Irma who? And that was our, big hurricane that we had last year. And you need to be up to date so you can at least figure out what they're saying as opposed to sitting there snoozing. There are so many ways that you can look at being body conscious, body language. There's lots of things out on YouTube to show you, how to stand, how not to stand. Don't stand like a model, unless you are a model. But you want to make sure that you've got enough going on, that you've got your confidence that you've got on there. Make sure that you also know when you're getting ready to go have business dinners. Dining etiquette. Get that under your belt so that you don't have to stand there and worry. Which one's my glass? Which one is my bread plate? Do I put my napkin on my lap when I sit down, or do I wait for somebody to do that? Okay, the answers to these. Take your fingers together, your thumb and your index finger, and your thumb and your index finger on both hands. The one on the left is a B, that means bread. That's where your bread plate is. D, that's a drink. That's where your drink is. Don't do this above the table. Do it down here when you're putting your napkin in your lap. When you sit down, you take your napkin, you place this in your lap, and you're going, oh yeah, okay? So make sure that that's what you do, so that you've got all these things down pat, that that's not what you have to worry about. That's not what you have to consider. You are confident that you can get through the meal, you can do everything, and you can place every bit of your energies on talking up your product, talking up your business to whomever you're dining with. You want to make sure that you've got that under control. Confidence, you just want to make sure you don't cross that line of being the disruptive person, the cocky person. You want to be the one that everybody wants as their leader. You want to be the confident one. In the end, it all matters down to your confidence is going to give you the opportunity to make sure that you take chances and you don't regret having made decisions too late. You want to make sure you've got your confidence. Now, I'm going to turn it back over to True, and he is going to be able to see if you guys have any questions for Geoff or for me. Thank you very much. And I'm around all sessions. Meet me in the mentoring.
I don't want to get in trouble. Can I talk? Yeah, okay, all right. Mic check, 1, 2. All right, all right. Another round of applause for Virginia, please. Great information. And I'll just say this real quick. As entrepreneurs, you all are problem solvers. You are solving some of the biggest pain points that our world and our society has. That's what you're figuring out as entrepreneurs. And as Virginia talked about active listening, that is one of the most important skills you can all have, because that's how you will understand what the biggest challenges, attitudes, drivers, influences, and pains are of the people that you're interacting with. You can learn so much about how your business, service, or product can really address those challenges. Active listening is one of the most important skills that you can adopt. So thank you again for that, Virginia. Now we're going to open up the floor. We don't have a lot of time, but I'll take a few questions for those that have some questions. And when you ask your question, why don't you stand up, introduce yourself, let the people know who you are, and then address your question to one of our speakers.
My name is Joe Dorsey from Kennesaw State University. I am a mechatronics engineer major. And my question is for Geoff. My question is, did you bootstrap all of your companies or raise capital? Okay.
Solar company? Yeah. No, I also play in a band. I might bust out in a song right now.
All right, I'll be right back.
Is that no, the current Raw Power Pro, I actually have investors from Copenhagen, Denmark, because, well, the Danish are really forward-thinking. I don't know if anyone's been to Copenhagen, but there's more bicycles in Copenhagen than any place I've ever been to. But no, these guys, I had a group of investors for the solar company. The first company, it was underwritten by a guy from Wall Street. He worked in capital markets, so we had an investor, but his extent was buying the building that we operated in. which was fine because we had an asset then we could borrow against, right? So there's another thing, there's a million ways to finance things, right? And then the company that I sold in West Palm Beach, true story, I put $18,000 on my credit card, and it was such a fluke because we couldn't afford, it was a production company, and we couldn't afford like Betamax and Avid editors. All I could afford was like Canon XL1 digital cameras, and it turned out to be when I said luck sometimes plays into it, we wound up being the first all digital production company in West Palm Beach. And there was a lot of value we were bought by a .com because it fit well with their brand. But I really, honestly, I'm just being honest with you guys, I so lucked into that. I mean, we worked hard. We worked really hard. We had great clients. We worked hard to get clients. But yeah, there's so many different ways to finance. So if somebody said, well, I'll buy you a building, right, but I'm not going to give you seed capital, I would say yeah. Because at the time we were like, well, great, I got an asset. I got a company asset. I can leverage that, right? So yeah, all my companies, I've done it several different ways. And sometimes having an investor, if you don't have the right investors, it's not worth the hassle.
Thank you, Jeff. Any other questions? Questions. Where we are, have one back here. Come back to you. Get my Phil Donahue on. Anybody know who Phil Donahue is? No.
Hi, my name is Brandy Lambertson. I'm a double major in marketing and entrepreneurship, and I'm from Ball State University. My question is for Jeff. With your startups, how did you go about building your teams for them, and what were some of the struggles and strategies along with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and I probably should have talked about that too a little bit. Team is everything. It really is, and the challenge in the startups is lots of times we're really limited with the capital that we have, and a lot of people just want to get a salary. I'll tell you, because I live in South Florida, finding really good salespeople is, for some reason, I've lived in San Francisco, New York, Dallas, and South Florida, and South Florida is really hard for me to have found really good salespeople, so we gave away equity. And that's always a challenge too, because you got to commit to giving the equity before you know if they can produce or not. So it's not easy, but you got to trust your gut. You know, I mean, I'm sure there's people you meet and you're like, yeah, he's a good dude, or she's really smart. I mean, sometimes you have nothing more than that to go on. But yeah, I mean, there's been people that I would love to have had on my team, and I couldn't afford them, you know. But equity, I mean, that's kind of how I started. I mean, early on, I didn't care that much about, you know, driving a BMW. I was more interested in getting a piece of a company, so I did a lot of stuff for equity. And people still ask me all the time if I would do something for a piece of the company. I'm at the point now in my life where, unless I think the company's going to be, you know, enormous, you know, at this stage in my life. But when I was younger, shoot, absolutely. Because you have nothing but time, right? Yeah, so, yeah, that's a really good question. The hardest part of this equation is finding people that can pull their own weight, really. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your question. All right, we have time for one more question before we have to transition into the next session, if anyone has a question. Any other questions before we? Do you have a question?
I do. My
Yes.
question is, would it be okay if I wanted to give you guys my Instagram and LinkedIn information, and you're more than welcome to contact me about anything. So I travel a lot, so sometimes it might take a day to get back, but I had help coming up, and I would love to be able to, you know, I might not be able to structure your company for you, but I can certainly answer questions, and sitting in an airport somewhere, I would love to be able to engage with you guys. I did, because I'm a knucklehead, I forgot to put it up there before, but hang on. Would you mind if I just put this up?
Yep, go right ahead.
I'm sorry, I know we're I don't. But if I can get to the last slide. Did the slide come up? Okay. Let me just give you guys my Instagram, and I hate to go through this all over again. But feel free to write it down, and don't be shy. Oh no! Did I just do that?
You were right there.
See? I shouldn't be doing this. I should just stick to what I do well. Okay. Here's my contact stuff. Oh no!
Well, you were.
All right. Well, maybe there's another way that we can get it to
can
you
just share
guys. Okay. My Instagram is G like Geoff GMM Haynes, and my LinkedIn is Geoff Haynes, and I'm on LinkedIn a lot more than I am Instagram. I know I got to get better about being on Instagram, but please feel free to reach out to me. You're not harassing. You know, it's not a hassle for me at all, and I would love to be able to help you guys, especially if you blow up, and then I can say, hey, I knew them back, you know. Okay. Oh.
Yep,
so
now
there
you
we
can
go.
just take a picture of it.
Yeah, so don't be shy, and thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it.
Another round of applause for our speakers.